Hello guys. Size, aesthetics, proportionality. These are all factors that affect the physique of a bodybuilder. However, some end up focusing mostly on size. Some focus mostly on proportionality and aesthetics. There are very few bodybuilders that actually end up getting all of it right. And when that happens, it's an absolute god-level physique. And the whole bodybuilding world is left completely shook. Well, today, we'll be talking about the top 5 of these bodybuilders that have shocked the whole world. But before we start, if you're new to HulkTube Motivation, make sure to subscribe and don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. Number 1. Dorian Yates. To start off, we have the retired English bodybuilder, Dorian Yates. Back in the 90s, his hype was absolutely insane, and that's because his body was absolutely insane as well. From 1992 to 1997, he won 6 consecutive Mr. Olympia titles. Out of all those years, in 1993, Mr. Olympia Dorian Yates came in just ridiculous that year, with this newfound level of mass with unprecedented size that had never been seen before and just shocked the bodybuilding world. And also, he was diced to the toe. So that combination of rock-solid mass and bone-dry conditioning is pretty hard to beat. I think this is his best shape of Dorian Yates. It's like he was born to be a mass monster. In fact, he was the very reason that the mass monster era even started, because he took his physique to another level that had never been seen before in bodybuilding history. In this year, his legs were absolutely out of this world. His leg details went all the way up to his hips, with extremely huge calves. Side triceps pose was another dominant pose for Dorian. His arm always looked massive, and you can see a clearly defined horseshoe anytime he hits it. I think this is one of the top side triceps in history. Dorian really did have one of the best lower backs in history, maybe even the best because of the density and hardness. It was real, man. He was a freaking beast in this 1993 Mr. Olympia. Number 2. Marcus Rule. Moving on to number 2 on the list, we have the retired IFBB professional bodybuilder, Marcus Rule. His story is actually pretty interesting. What started off as a knee injury turned out to be one of the most insane bodybuilding careers. Yes, his bodybuilding career started off from a knee injury. Throughout his career, he has took part in the Mr. Olympia competition 7 times, but he has never won. In 2002, Marcus Rule showed up in the Night of Champions as the freak of all freaks. In this show, Marcus definitely shocked the whole bodybuilding world. The lighting at this event was insane, and that certainly helped. But make no mistake about it, Marcus was ripped and monstrously huge. Have you seen Venom in the Spider-Man movies? Yeah, Marcus Rule's body was nothing short of Venom. He was the real-life version of Venom. In this show, you can definitely see that comic book villain look in Marcus. I think this was the most beast shape ever by Marcus Rule. Another noteworthy competition he took part in was the 2004 Mr. Olympia. He placed 5th in the contest, but he looked absolutely incredible. Number 3. Ronnie Coleman. Next up, we have the retired American professional bodybuilder, Ronnie Coleman, who is actually nicknamed The King. Well, if your nickname is The King, then you did something right in your life. And yes, Coleman has definitely had some incredible achievements throughout his bodybuilding career. His biggest achievement is the fact that he won the Mr. Olympia competition 8 times. I mean, isn't that absolutely insane? Anyway, 2003 was the year where we saw the best Ronnie Coleman ever. That year, Ronnie came in bigger than ever like an absolute monster, and believe it or not, it left all the bodybuilding community completely stunned. I'll tell you one thing right now, that probably no other bodybuilding past or present could hope to defeat this version of Big Ron. It wasn't his prettiest shape, granted, But this combination of size and conditioning would be almost impossible to beat, especially from the back. His lower back, the Christmas tree, glutes, and hamstrings were ridiculously striated to the point that every single muscle fiber was visible through his thin skin. In this year, his skin was as thin as a paper. You could say he was a whole human anatomy diagram walking around. Ronnie looked like an alien that year. He was absolutely ripped, and he weighed 290 pounds. That year, as soon as he came, we knew no one could beat him, and of course, no one did. Because of how insane his body was, they even made a cartoon character of Ronnie Coleman that was known as Super Alloy Darkshine. Number 4. Jay Cutler. On number 4, we have the retired American professional bodybuilder, Jay Cutler. In the bodybuilding world, there are so many debates on who is better, Ronnie Coleman or Jay Cutler. So, let's face it, if he's being compared to the King, of course, he's one of the very best. He has won the Mr. Olympia competition 4 different times. Jay Cutler won his first Mr. Olympia title in 2006, but after that, in 2008, he lost to Dexter Jackson. However, that wasn't the end of it. In 2009, he made a crazy comeback with his best ever performance, and he won the competition again that year. Technically, this was the first time in the history of bodybuilding to reclaim the Olympia title after losing it. In 2009, it was definitely his driest conditioning, and Jay had never looked this tight from the back before. The one thing he's known most for is his iconic quad stomp pose. Sure, many other bodybuilders do that pose, but for Jay Cutler, it's definitely iconic, and no one can do it better than him or even like him. It was at the 2009 Mr. Olympia when he imprinted the single most defining image of his career in his iconic quad stomp pose. We can clearly see just how incredible his body was in that single picture. Number 5. Phil Heath. To end the list, we have an American IFBB professional bodybuilder, Phil Heath. In a list full of retired bodybuilders, I think it's only fair that we also add one who's still in the middle of his bodybuilding career. Throughout his career, he has already won the Mr. Olympia competition 7 times. He won it consecutively from 2011 to 2017. In 2011, Phil Heath came pretty insane. It was his very first Sando. And he ended up beating the legendary Jay Cutler and left the whole bodybuilding world amazed. This is one year I think pretty much everyone would agree that Phil deserved the Sando, because his conditioning was off the charts, with those deep cuts and separation. And this HD footage highlights it perfectly. Do you know what makes his body so special? Well, Phil has those 3D looking muscles that absolutely no other bodybuilder has anywhere in the whole world. In 2011, Phil Heath brought back 90s level conditioning and aesthetic proportions with supremely full muscle bellies. You can clearly see them in those back and front shorts. Look at that fullness in his back muscle bellies. And also, he has crazy 3D looking arms with popping chest and shoulders. He was at his very best look that year, with deep cut separations with round muscle bellies. His muscle separations were absolutely out of the world that year. It was truly an awesome spectacle, and one of my favorite Mr. Olympia physiques of all time. And with that, we come to the end of the list. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to give it a big thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Also, press the bell icon so you never miss out on any videos I upload in the future. I'll see you guys next time. Till then, peace out and have a great day.